What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. We are about 70 some days out from the 2024 presidential election. And this past week was the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, where Vice President Kamala Harris officially accepted the nomination to become the Democratic nominee for president. Tim Walz accepted the nomination to become the Democratic nominee for vice president. And y'all, it was a good time. Listen, now some people were saying the Democratic convention and the Republican National Convention that happened maybe about a month ago, they said it'd be looking like a WWE event. Okay. They said it'd be looking like what's that man? McMahon, like the McMahons produced it. Triple H in them, down to the wrestling. They said it looked like wrestling. Okay. It did. The Republic, yeah, and y'all know the Republicans, they had Hulk Hogan. I am a real American. He ripped his t-shirt on stage. Okay. He ripped his t-shirt on stage. If you would have told me when I was a child that we would feel the way we feel about Hulk Hogan today, I would not have believed you. That was my guy. I loved me some Hulk Hogan. But over the years, we found out that he was not just a Hulkamaniac. He was an actual maniac. And for that reason, we cannot support the bigotry and racism. But speaking of the Democratic National Convention, y'all know I be locked in. If you have been following or listening to me or associated with me or know me this whole time, not just this year, I be tapped in with politics. I'm not one of those people who be like, I don't believe in politics. I don't follow it. No, politics gonna follow you, player. So you better follow it. And I'm just not one of those people who let things happen to me. I want to have a say in what's going on in my life, even whether it's taxes, judges, representatives, local authority figures, school board. I don't care. I want to have a say because you're not just about to be telling me what I need to be doing without me at least inquiring about what's going on from top to bottom. So I have been one of those people. I have voted in every election that I can recall, starting with the first one I was able to vote for was John Kerry versus Bush. I was active during Gore versus Bush, but I was still 17 when the ballots were cast, so I did not get to actively participate. With that said, though, I pretty much align my ideals with the Democratic Party. I'm not a person who is, some people be crazy with their party affiliations, and am not one of those people. I do not believe or support in everything that the Democratic Party stands for or adopts. However, I am a broad and bigger picture type of person, and I understand each election is just designed to keep a train moving on the tracks in one direction. The goal is not to go backward. But what I'm realizing and noticing, and I won't even call it a shift in politics because I think the same energy was around when Barack Obama was the nominee. The convention did a good job of showcasing different voices within the left, and also including some celebrity appearances, which again is not normal for the Democratic Party. One thing about that party, they're gonna have some celebrity guests and some celebrity supporters. Hollywood gone back ideals. But there is often a lot of conversation about who's next within the party. Who's next? Everybody's so old. Who's next? We saw 4 days worth of people who could relate to any and everybody, from young black women, young black men, old black women, old black men, old white, young white women, male LGBTQ plus, you name it. There was an opportunity to showcase that, which If we're being honest, and with the demographic shifting in this country, that is what needs to happen in order to look forward and think about voter demographics long term. Because if we keep it a buck, Gen Z voters got the power to drastically shift this election, because I believe there are over 40 million new registered voters that popped up over the last few years. That number could be off, but I believe that's what I read. So if that were the case, please, the election will be whatever they say it was. But we still have conversations with people about voting and if it's worth it, and on and on and on. But to recap, we had great speeches from Jasmine Crockett, who is a representative from Texas, Black woman who is out here doing the good work and spreading the good news. We also had AOC give her speech, Reverend Warnock. We had Pete Buttigieg. You know, Mayor Pete, he ain't the mayor no more, but he gonna be forever be called Mayor Pete. I was a little sad we ain't see Gavin Newsom on the main stage, but he was a part of the roll call for the state of California, which was nice. As y'all know, Gavin Newsom, that's my guy, man. Hey, that's my, y'all say what y'all want about Gavin Newsom. That's my guy. So, in which, with that said, the roll call, there were moments throughout that were fun and non-traditional. So, roll call usually consists of the chair of the party going around to each state and asking them to declare their delegates in support of the candidate. And it's usually it's pretty damn boring. This year, they got DJ Cassidy to do it in the style of Pass the Mic. And child, he was DJing, playing songs that represent each state or that was significant to each state. Wendell Pierce was doing a roll call for Louisiana. The dude the number one Goonie, and Rudy was there for Indiana. Lil Jon came out and yahed his way all the way through the crowd for Georgia. It was just an overall good time. Anthony Hamilton was up in the building. Anthony Hamilton is a really nice man. I don't know if I've said that on this podcast. And I think I had when I was talking about Essence Festival. But Anthony Hamilton is just a really nice guy. Shout out to him. I just had to say that. But all in all, it was a good time for for a Democratic convention. Some of the notables were there, the big dogs, because the point of this is I don't think the Democratic convention is designed or shaped to pick up voters. I'm a true believer that at this point, you know who you vote for. There ain't no undecideds. People who claim they undecided at this point are just those people who like attention. They know who they voting for, but they want to feel like their thought process is more unique than everyone else. So they need time to explore the possibility and see all sides. When in actuality, that usually is not the case. They know who they voting for. They just want you to pay attention to them and think that they're smarter than the rest of the population. So I don't think that the convention necessarily pulls people over, right? I think what it does do is shows you the tone of each candidate and their side. So within the Republican Party, a lot of people who have been complaining, and I do complain in the air quotes because it's not necessarily complaint, it's a call out, and it's what people have been noticing. None of the past big dogs within the party have come back and stood and aligned themselves with their candidate, Mr. Red Hat, George Bush. Now, I don't think people are necessarily claiming him. I know our current Republican Party representation will have us believe that George Bush wasn't as bad as he was, but he was as bad as he was. So even if he came out the house, I don't know if he would be wanted. I think people want to forget about weapons of mass destruction and 9/11 and all of that. But Condoleezza Rice don't be coming out. She on the hard R's side. You got none of that OG base. Mitt Romney, John McCain's family, they don't be showing up. The Bush family, and it ain't gotta be Bush the son, Daddy Bush, none of them, Jeb, none of them be around. So it is becoming very, very noticeable that that is happening. It's a totally different Republican Party than it was. On the Democratic side, this past week, they purposely pulled out the big dogs like you would at the convention. Hillary Clinton was there, which I appreciate. I'm not one of the people who was mad at Hillary and was talking about her emails and things. I actually was very disappointed that she did not win because she was the most qualified candidate in the race. And also, we wouldn't have been in this shit stain that we in right now if she would have got elected. But Hillary had a great moment. Michelle Obama had a fantastic speech, and she spoke about a couple things that we've been talking about on Black News and just within Black spaces, which is one, we do not have time for people to be trying to say, well, somebody need to reach out directly for me to vote for Kamala Harris. We ain't got time for that. Don't nobody got time for that. She also said, if we keep talking and we in this position, but now it's time to do something. It's time to do something. Barack Obama, again, big dog. They got the big dog out. We already knew what's gonna happen. Whenever it's time to cart out the figures within the Democratic Party, you got to bring Barack Obama out. That child, they even got Bill Clinton up out of here. Now, he was born, and I don't know what he was talking about. That man was going on and on and on. I wasn't a fan of the saxophone, but a saxophone would have took him over the top. People enjoyed his speech. Now, again, wasn't really for me, but again, you got the big dog still alive. Big dog. Child, if Jimmy Carter wasn't in hospice, they would have had his butt on stage. So there was the opportunity to showcase the drastic difference. Celebrity sightings. Oprah Winfrey came in and gave a speech. Again, I'm not one of the people who be saying they don't like Oprah. I fools with me some Oprah. Okay, I ain't one of them. I see Oprah and I see women who achieve differently, apparently, than a lot of people. It is very difficult for a woman to reach high levels of success. And when I say high, I ain't just talking about being a manager at your job. I'm talking about extremely high. And this relates to Kamala Harris too. And I understand that as people, especially within the Black community, when people get too famous and too rich, people get mad and they turn their back on you. Once you get too rich, the same thing they be doing that with any celebrity. They be doing that with Beyonce. They be doing that with Jay-Z. They be doing that with Oprah. They be doing that with Tyler Perry. Anybody that's get too much, they get mad at. Which is why I don't really buy into that whole like women be sleeping their way to the top. Because if that was the case, we be all at the top because we be sleeping with these dudes for nothing. They don't be giving nothing. We don't get nothing for that work. Get out of here. I don't like it and I don't believe in it. But again, Oprah celebrity appearance. Kerry Washington was there. John Legend and Sheila E. performed. Patti LaBelle sang a song. Pink, the Dixie Chicks. It was just an overall event. There was also that major rumor that Beyonce was going to perform. Child, where y'all get that from? Beyonce wasn't going to be showing up in here. Again, that's the big dog. You got to pull out the big dog when it's time to pull out the big dog. And she ain't ready for that. She let her use the song Freedom. That's the day. That's what we doing. But all in all, I feel like Vice President Kamala Harris gave a good speech. She laid out her policy that she was intending to implement moving forward once she is president, which people were asking for. She gave the contrast between her and the Red Hat man. She talked about her upbringing. She even brought up her dad, which people seem to be they want to hear about her dang daddy. She brought that man up as well. Her family was there, friends, associates. Doug was there. And it was just, in my opinion, an overall success for what the convention needed to be. Do I feel like that is enough? That was enough at that moment. We still got 70 some days left within a campaign, and anything could happen. This has literally been the most unpredictable presidential campaign and election season that we have ever seen in our lifetimes. So anything can happen, but I'm doing my part. What are you doing? Are you doing your part? One thing that I would implore us, if you on social media, you talking to people and interacting with them, if they are, even if you are not in support of Vice President Kamala Harris and you are in support of the man with the red hat, do not argue people down no more. We are past that. We got to move on. So I know personally, when somebody tells me I ain't voting for her because she do X, Y, and Z, I say, okay, cool, good for you. And I move on. People just be wanting attention, one. And two, we are too late in the game for people to be changing their mind. Three, there are other untapped, actual undecided, and new voters to get. So you can vote for who you voting for. I'm moving on, and I'm talking to someone who is new within this whole world of voting and elections. I suggest that you do the same. Don't even entertain them. Just move on. Let me know your thoughts about it. Did you watch the Democratic National Convention? Hit me up. Let me know. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. Child, I take back everything I had said about Cam Newton last week. Child, I take back everything I had said. I take it back. I ain't, and not in a malicious way, but in a, never mind. I take it back. I believe I said I like Cam Newton in the commentary podcasting space. Not because I'd be thinking he got some deep insight, but it's entertaining, right? He be having some entertaining guests on, and he lets his personality show, so on, so on, so on. But child, this past week, I take it back, brother. Shut the podcast down. Turn the mic off. Ugh. And people could say the same thing about me because I have a podcast. Okay, y'all can say the same thing about me in Black News Podcast. Say what you need to say. Okay, if that's what you need to get off your chest, get it off of your chest. However, I don't think I'm alone in saying that Cam Newton got the whole internet exhausted from the recent conversations that he had on his podcast, Funky Fridays, with Dr. Bryant, a woman psychologist who is very entertaining and very knowledgeable and has a lot of great insight, especially as it relates to the conversations that I've seen her have with Cam Newton and also a resurfaced interview with Nick Cannon. So I'm going to play the clip that got everybody in the tizzy, and I'm just going to have a few comments about it because I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I didn't listen to the entire podcast because it was stressing me out. And y'all know I ain't about to be giving myself no anxiety. I am not going to be stressed. I am unable to do that. So if I be watching something and my underarms start to get a little warm and my chest get hot and I get like frustrated and whatnot, turn off. You're done. I can't watch. That's my boundary. I respected my peace. You should try it. But I'm going to just play a little bit of the clip because I don't want y'all to feel that way as well. But I'm going to play it so y'all can know what I'm talking about. And then we'll come back.
A lot of people see my situation and not think that I'm not high function.
What situation?
Okay, so I'm not married. I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
By how many women?
3. And this is the kicker. I want more.
By multiple women? What's the intent of just saying, or by your wife?
I just want God to bring them.
Oh, okay.
My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you had said, Dr. Brian, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active. Okay? So you're creating, in disclaimer, the kids are innocent. They are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies. But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father. And I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior to say that I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're going to feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box.
Now, I played that clip. This wasn't even one of the sections where Cam was like debating and like, no, I'm not. I'm not low function. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This was a very tamed clip. But what came about is an overall discussion about what is a broken home, what is the role of a father, what environment should they create, should you have children with multiple women, what's the fear in marriage. Now, starting with what's the fear in marriage. I understand when men with money are fearful of marriage because, especially celebrity men and athletes, they have seen their peers be taken advantage of, and some have been taken advantage of, where they'll end up having to pay an exorbitant amount of money in settlements. There are also prenups. So you can get a prenup and try to get up out of all of that. And you can write anything into a prenup. It's just whether the judge gonna uphold it. So I get that from that perspective where some men are scared of marriage. But when you ain't got nothing, I don't understand when men who ain't got nothing be scared of marriage because of the financial. Because I know a lot of women that be the breadwinners. And we see a lot of women having to pay their husband just to get about that thing. So I don't really entertain that kind of conversation. But I also know and understand that when you have multiple children, especially 8 kids, there is a strong possibility that the money you paying in child support and outside fees and maintaining homes with 3 different women could be equal or more than what you'd pay in a divorce settlement. So I see what they be thinking in theory, but it would make more sense if we were talking about one baby mama, one child versus three baby mamas, 8 children. Because now you gonna pay a lot. You paying a lot for them kids and for them women. But the bottom line is a broken home is a broken home. If you can be an active parent and you can take care of your children, but if you got houses and families all over the place, you cannot be everywhere at the same time. You cannot sleep at all them houses. And even if all the kids are with you all the time, then the mama ain't there and it's still a broken home. And that doesn't mean I think people, and in this case, Cam was taking offense to hearing that because people assume or try to associate having money with not, they think money means I'm not going to have it's not a broken home. It does. And that's okay. And you can do the best that you can in certain situations and in the resources, but to actively pursue making all of these families out of fear and selfishness, that is where the difficulty comes in. because somebody gonna have to pay the price. And in a lot of cases with these families, and we know it as adults now who were raised by parents, the child gonna pay. They gonna be the one with the trauma and the issues, not you. I also see a lot of people on the internet justifying Cam's behavior and what he's saying just because he got money. It's like he got money, he can do whatever he wants to. No, that's not how it works. As a human being with children and fathering children, you should want to put your children and set your family up for the best situation and the best circumstances. So I don't necessarily agree that just because he got money, we should be or he should be okay with this or the women should be okay with this. But there was another clip where Dr. Bryant was basically saying only a certain kind of woman will get herself caught up in that, and that is true. Also, one thing to notice throughout that interview, Dr. Bryant had to go out of her way to make sure she was, I'm going to just say it, coddling the ego in order for her message to be received. And that is something that is unfortunate because sometimes you need to give somebody some information. And I understand saying things in a nice way so it can be received. But don't nobody got time to be having to jump through hula hoops and do goddamn double dutch routine just so you won't feel in your feelings about something that you need to hear. There's a thin line between saying something nicely and having to massage your ego to get the point across. And again, that could just be a personal thing because I like to deliver the information straight up. Depending on who it is, I have been known to kind of try to step around and beat around the bush. If it's an older person, like a parent or authority figure, I do try to soften it because I don't want to be disrespectful in ways. But if it's in relationship and we're talking to male and male female conversations, women and men, I have been known to just straight up give you the info and not make it soft. I was in one relationship where the man was saying that he needed the in order for him to receive information, he needed it to be started off with a compliment or positive, like you did such a good job with this, and then I had to give him the info. I couldn't stand that because I didn't like it. I don't got nothing positive to say, my brother. You need to do what I said. So I think, man, I don't know if this hearing the Cam Newton interview and seeing how she had to like massage his ego. I don't know if that's just a me thing or if that's other people noticed it or mad or cared about it. I think other people noticed it because they was tearing up the comments about it. But all in all, it is a very interesting conversation. It is a discussion about finances, masculinity, fatherhood, motherhood, black family structure, broken homes, the modern day athlete, you name it. It was a case study on it. I implore you to watch. But I don't. Hey, you ain't got to watch as much as I did because, like I told you, I couldn't watch the whole thing because I'd be stressed out. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about it because I can go on and on and on about this. You can find me at Canelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the Democratic National Convention that took place in Chicago and Vice President Kamala Harris officially accepting the nomination to be the Democratic candidate for President of the United States. We also gave another update about Cam Newton's podcast, Funky Friday, and a conversation that was had between him and Dr. Bryant about relationships, broken homes, masculinity, so on and so on. Hit me up and let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time.